Mommy, when is Daddy coming back? Ellie gently rubbed her 6-year-old daughter Penny's back. The only light in the bedroom came from a small nightlight, its warm yellow glow spilling across the pink bedsheets. Penny had her hair in 2 little braids, and in the dim light, her eyes looked especially bright. Daddy will be back in a month, sweetie. Come on, time to sleep. Ellie's voice was incredibly soft, but her heart clenched. Her husband, Alex, had been on a business trip for over 2 months. He said his firm had landed a massive project down in Miami. At first, they FaceTimed every single day. Then it became once every 2 or 3 days. For the past week, he had only called twice. Penny rolled over and grabbed the hem of Ellie's shirt with her little hand. I'm going to tell you a secret, but promise you won't get mad. All right. Ellie smiled and stroked her daughter's cheek. What's the secret? Did you draw on the walls with crayons again? No. Penny scooted closer. Her breath tickled Ellie's ear. Her voice dropped to a whisper, as if she were sharing the greatest mystery in the world. Daddy's been hiding in the closet for a long time. Is he playing hide-and-seek with us? Ellie's hand froze in midair. The bedroom suddenly felt terrifyingly quiet. All she could hear was the pounding of her own heart. Penny, what are you talking about? Ellie tried to keep her voice steady, but her throat went dry. In the closet. The big walk-in closet in your bedroom. Penny blinked, completely unaware of the horrifying weight of her words. Daddy is hiding in there. I know because I've been counting. It's been 50 days. Sometimes he comes out at night. I heard noises. But you told me to stay in bed, so I didn't get up. A cold chill ran down Ellie's spine. The hair on her arms stood up. She slowly turned her head toward the hallway. The master bedroom was right across from them. The door was slightly ajar, revealing pitch-black darkness inside. Sweetie, you can't joke about things like that. Ellie's voice trembled. She pulled Penny into a hug. Daddy is on a business trip in Florida. How could he be in the closet? Maybe you just had a nightmare? It wasn't a nightmare. Penny got agitated and pulled out of Ellie's arms. I really heard it. Sometimes at night, sometimes during the day when I was napping. One time I even saw him through the crack in the door. Daddy came out of the closet and went right back in. He even went shh and told me not to tell you. Ellie sat on the edge of the bed, paralyzed. Outside, the wind rustled the leaves of the oak tree in their front yard. In the dead of night, the sound was unnervingly loud. When did you see this? Last Wednesday afternoon. I woke up and needed to go to the bathroom. Penny concentrated hard to remember. I saw your bedroom door was open a little bit. Daddy came out from where the closet is, saw me, and went right back. He put his finger over his lips so I wouldn't tell. Ellie found it hard to breathe. She stood up, walked to the window, and took a deep breath. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Alex was 1,000 miles away. Just yesterday, he had sent a location pin from a hotel in downtown Miami. He posted work photos in their family group chat every day, even though they had been getting fewer lately. Mommy, what's wrong? Penny sounded confused. She slid out of bed and padded barefoot over to her mother. Ellie looked down at her daughter. Penny's face was dead serious. There wasn't a hint of a joke. A 6-year-old child didn't possess the capacity to invent such a detailed, terrifying story out of thin air. It's nothing, sweetie. Let's go to sleep. Ellie picked Penny up, carried her back to bed, and tucked her in. We'll talk about this tomorrow. It's late. Is Daddy going to hide in the closet for a long time? Penny asked in a whisper as she lay down. Isn't it stuffy in there? Should I bring him some water? Ellie didn't answer. She just gently stroked her daughter's hair until Penny's breathing grew deep and even. Once she was sure Penny was asleep, Ellie tiptoed out of the room. She stood in the hallway, staring at the slightly open door of the master bedroom. The darkness inside seemed alive, slowly oozing out into the hall. Ellie turned on her phone's flashlight. The beam pierced the gloom. She walked toward the bedroom step by step. Treading so lightly her footsteps made no sound. She pushed the door open. The room looked exactly as it had when she left for work that morning. The king-size bed was neatly made. Alex's pillow was in its usual spot. On the dresser sat a framed photo of the two of them. In it, Alex had his arm around her shoulders, flashing a bright, sunny smile. It was taken 3 years ago on Penny's 3rd birthday. Ellie's gaze shifted to the corner of the room, to the massive custom walk-in closet they had installed when they renovated the house. The heavy double doors were tightly shut, reflecting a dull gleam under the flashlight. She walked over and placed her hand on the doorknob. The cold metal made her flinch. Should she open it? If there was nothing inside, it meant Penny was lying, or having hallucinations. But how could a 6-year-old insist on this for 50 days, keeping an exact count? And if someone was actually in there? Ellie was terrified to even entertain the thought. She carefully turned the knob. The door clicked open. She shined the flashlight inside. On the left hung her clothes, dresses, coats, blouses. On the right were Alex's things, mostly suits and button-downs. He was a corporate guy. In the middle were shelves with sweaters and casual wear. Everything looked perfectly normal. Ellie pushed the door wide open, even crouching down to look at the floor. Aside from a few storage bins, there was nothing. She stood up and let out a massive sigh of relief. It was just a child's imagination. Penny probably missed her dad so much she was starting to see things. Ellie closed the closet, walked over to the bed, and sat down. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. It was a text from Alex. "Are you asleep? Worked late tonight, just got back to the hotel." A photo followed. A hotel room desk with a laptop and some scattered documents. The time on the laptop read 11:23 p.m. Ellie stared at the photo for a long time before typing back. "Just put Penny to bed. Take care of yourself. Try to get some sleep." The conversation ended there, just like all their recent chats, short and transactional. Ellie looked at the screen and suddenly noticed a tiny detail in the background of the photo. Next to the desk sat a glass of water. Condensation beaded on the outside of the glass, meaning it was ice cold. But Alex had a sensitive stomach and acid reflux. He never drank ice water. Ellie frowned and zoomed in. Maybe the hotel staff brought it and he didn't even drink it, she rationalized. But unease, like a drop of ink in a glass of clear water, slowly began to spread. The next morning, Ellie woke up early. She made breakfast, got Penny ready, and drove her to the elementary school for first grade. She was distracted the whole time. "Mommy, why are you so quiet today?" Penny asked from the back seat. "Mom's just thinking about work." Ellie forced a smile, got out, and adjusted Penny's backpack. "Do you remember what we talked about last night?" "I remember. Daddy is in the closet," Penny said matter-of-factly, as if they were discussing the weather. "If you see Daddy after school today, tell Mommy immediately, okay?" "Okay." Penny nodded and skipped off toward the school entrance. Watching her daughter's back, Ellie felt a heavy weight on her chest. She drove back home, spending the entire commute replaying the events of the last 2 months. Alex's business trip had come out of nowhere. He got a call one evening, said the firm was launching an emergency project, and he had to go down to Florida for at least 3 months. Ellie had asked why it was so sudden. Alex said it was a rare opportunity. If he nailed it, he'd make partner. "It's worth the grind for our family," he had said, hugging her. The next morning, he left with his suitcase, not even letting Ellie drop him off at O'Hare Airport. Then came the daily FaceTimes and texts. But gradually, Ellie noticed he rarely wanted to video chat anymore. He always claimed he was in meetings or at corporate dinners. The photos he sent were always of work stuff, never a selfie. Once, Ellie asked for a tour of his hotel room. Alex said it was a mess and promised to show her when he cleaned up. He never did. Ellie parked in the garage but didn't get out right away. She sat in the driver's seat, scrolling through photos of Alex on her phone. Married for 7 years, a 6-year-old kid. Was Alex a good husband? Honestly, he wasn't bad. He brought home a good paycheck, bought nice gifts for their anniversary, and adored Penny. But something was always missing. Ellie couldn't put her finger on it. Emotional intimacy, maybe? Alex rarely shared his deep thoughts with her and made most major decisions on his own. His mother was a piece of work, too, constantly interfering and telling them how to live. At the thought of her mother-in-law, Martha, Ellie sighed. She got out of the car and went inside. Once in the house, she headed straight for the master bedroom. The morning sun filtered through the blinds, casting stripes of light across the hardwood floor. Ellie opened the walk-in closet again. This time, she conducted a meticulous search. She went through Alex's clothes piece by piece, even smelling them. There was no scent of sweat or staleness, but as she reached the bottom shelf, her fingers brushed against something. It was a small, round plastic object. Ellie picked it up and examined it. It was a standard, navy blue shirt button. She couldn't recall Alex owning a shirt that color. Furthermore, the button looked brand new, showing no signs of wear and tear. Ellie stood there holding it, her mind a chaotic mess. Had it fallen off a new piece of clothing she hadn't noticed? Did Penny drop it in here while playing? Her phone rang, shattering her thoughts. It was her mother-in-law, Martha. Ellie, are you busy? Martha's tone was haughty, as usual. Martha, I just dropped Penny off at school. Is something wrong? Nothing in particular. Just wanted to ask how Alex has been doing lately. Martha paused. He's been on this trip for so long. Are you two talking much? Every day, Martha. Don't worry. Ellie walked over to the window, looking out at the manicured lawns of their subdivision. That's good. Because I worry that some people might start acting a bit reckless when their husband isn't home. The words were incredibly sharp. Ellie gripped her phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. Martha, what exactly do you mean by that? Oh, nothing at all. Just reminding you to be careful. Martha's voice grew icy. Alex is down there working his fingers to the bone. Don't cause trouble for him back home. I heard you went out for drinks with some coworkers last week, including a male colleague. Anger flared in Ellie's chest. It was an office happy hour. There were over a dozen of us. Who knows? I wasn't there to see it, Martha scoffed. Let me tell you, Ellie. We accepted you into this family because you seemed modest and decent. If you do something shameful, well, don't say I didn't warn you. The line went dead. Ellie stood frozen, trembling with rage. This wasn't the first time. For 7 years of marriage, her mother-in-law had constantly criticized and suspected her. And Alex? He always said, "My mom's getting older, just let it go." She had let it go, and it had gotten her this. Ellie took a few deep breaths, forcing herself to calm down. Now wasn't the time to be angry. The closet. The phone call from Martha. Alex's strange behavior. These fragments swirled in her mind, refusing to form a complete picture. She needed to get to the bottom of this. That afternoon, Ellie called in sick to work. She sent an email citing a family emergency, then began systematically tearing the house apart. She started with the bedroom, inch by inch. The walls, the floors, behind the furniture, anywhere a person could hide. Nothing. Everything in the house was perfectly normal, except for that mysterious navy button. Ellie sat on the living room sofa, clutching the button. She remembered Penny's words. Daddy's been hiding in the closet for 50 days. 50 days. Alex had left on his business trip 68 days ago. If Penny was telling the truth, it meant Alex had returned 18 days after he left, and had been hiding in the closet ever since. It was too absurd. Ellie shook her head, feeling like she was losing her mind for even entertaining the idea. In the late afternoon, she drove to pick Penny up. Kids were pouring out of the school doors. Penny saw Ellie and ran over, beaming. How was school today, sweetie? Ellie hoisted her daughter up and kissed her cheek. Good! We learned some new songs. Penny wrapped her arms around Ellie's neck and suddenly whispered, Mommy, I thought about Daddy all day. Ellie's heart skipped a beat. What did you think about? When is he coming out of the closet? Penny's voice was so quiet only Ellie could hear it. During quiet time today, I dreamed that Daddy came out and read me a story. Ellie didn't know what to say. On the drive home, she carefully asked, Can you tell Mommy how you found out Daddy was in the closet? I heard noises, Penny said, playing with a doll in her car seat, not looking up. At night, when I'm supposed to be sleeping, I hear scratching, like mice. At first, I was scared, but then I got up quietly one night and saw Daddy come out of your room and go to the kitchen to get water. He saw me and told me to go back to bed. He said we were playing a secret game of hide and seek. Ellie's hands sweated against the steering wheel. When was this? Right after Daddy went on his trip, Penny thought for a second. Just a few weeks after he left. Why are you only telling Mommy now? Because Daddy said it was a secret, Penny replied earnestly. He said it was our special game, and if I told you, it would ruin the fun. But I think he's been hiding for too long. His legs probably hurt. The car stopped at a red light. Ellie stared blankly ahead, her mind buzzing. Penny's description was too specific. It didn't sound like make-believe. Furthermore, she mentioned the kitchen. If Alex really came out at night to drink water, Ellie realized that lately, she had noticed the glasses in the kitchen cabinet were sometimes out of order. She had brushed it off. Back home, Ellie made dinner for Penny while inspecting every corner of the kitchen. There were 4 glasses on the drying rack. She remembered only using 2 that morning, but now 3 were wet. Did her daughter use one? Penny, did you drink some water this afternoon before I got home? Yeah, Grandma poured me some, Penny said from the kitchen table where she was coloring. Grandma was here? Ellie whipped around. Uh-huh. Grandma came over this afternoon, played with me a little. Penny nodded. She said she came to check on me and brought cookies. Martha had been there. Ellie frowned. Martha hadn't mentioned a word about it on the phone. Martha had a spare key. Alex gave her one for emergencies. When did Grandma leave? I don't know, she was gone when I woke up from my nap. Penny finished coloring a flower and looked at Ellie. Mommy, does Grandma not like you? Ellie froze. Why do you say that? Because Grandma told me it would be better if you weren't here. Penny's voice dropped. She said Daddy could have a much better life. And it's all your fault. Ellie felt a sharp physical pain in her chest. She knelt down and took her daughter's hands. Grandma is just saying silly things. Mommy and Daddy are very happy together, right? Doubt flashed in Penny's eyes. But Daddy doesn't smile very much anymore. And you guys don't kiss like my friends' parents do. The raw honesty of a child cut like a knife. Ellie hugged her daughter, unable to utter a single word. That night, after putting Penny to bed, Ellie sat alone in the living room. She didn't turn on the lights. Only the faint glow of the street lamps filtered through the windows. She needed to think. If Penny was telling the truth, and Alex really was in the closet, what did it mean? Why was he doing this? The business trip was a lie. What about his job? What about the photos and location pins he sent? If Penny was lying, why would she invent such a story? Could a 6-year-old orchestrate something so flawless? And then there was Martha, her unannounced visit this afternoon. Why did she come? Why didn't she tell her? Ellie stood up and walked back to the master bedroom. This time, she didn't turn on the lights. She just stood in the dark, staring at the closet doors. Moonlight spilled through the window, casting a blurry rectangle of light against the dark wood. Ellie slowly walked over, pressed her ear against the heavy door, held her breath, and listened. At first, there was only the sound of her own heartbeat. Then, she heard a faint, almost imperceptible noise like fabric rubbing together, or someone taking a slow, shallow breath. Ellie jolted backward, bumping into her vanity. Bottles of expensive lotion and perfume wobbled and clattered together. The sound inside the closet instantly stopped. The room plunged back into dead silence. She stood there, the blood in her veins turning to ice. She heard it. She really heard it. It wasn't a hallucination. There was someone in the closet. Ellie nearly sprinted out of the bedroom. She practically flew into the living room, slammed the door behind her, and leaned against it, gasping for air. Her heart was hammering against her ribs, threatening to break through. The moonlight painted the living room furniture in dark, ghostly silhouettes. It was quiet. Too quiet. So quiet she could hear the blood rushing in her ears. Ellie slid down to the floor, pulled her knees to her chest, and curled into a ball. Was the sound she just heard real? Or was it an auditory hallucination born from severe stress? She pinched her arm hard. Sharp pain. No, this wasn't a dream. Someone was truly in the closet. The realization washed over her like buckets of ice water, leaving her shivering violently. Alex is in the closet. Her husband, Penny's father, had been hiding in their own bedroom for 50 days. Why? Her mind was a tornado of terrifying possibilities. He was spying on her. It was his mother's idea. They wanted to catch her doing something wrong. All the ugly moments of their 7-year marriage bubbled to the surface. Martha's nitpicking, Alex's emotional distance, all the red flags she had ignored, all the resentments she had swallowed. Ellie bit her lip, forcing herself to focus. She couldn't panic now. If Alex was really in the closet, he now knew she suspected something. What would happen next? Would he come out or keep hiding? Ellie slowly stood up. Her legs felt like jelly. She walked over to the end table and picked up her phone. Her thumb hovered over the screen. Who should she call? The police? And say what? My husband is hiding in my closet. Would they even believe her? Besides, if it really was Alex, it was a domestic issue. The police wouldn't do much. Call her best friend, Olivia? Olivia had gone to college with Alex. She'd kept in touch with both of them over the years. But Olivia was hot-tempered. If she knew, she'd drive over here at 100 miles an hour and a massive, chaotic confrontation would be unavoidable. Ellie put the phone down and began pacing the living room. She needed proof. She needed to verify beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was Alex in there, and she needed to know why he was doing it. Also, if he was hiding in the closet all the time, what about the daytime? Where did he go? Penny said she sometimes heard noises during the day. Was he in there all day too? Ellie suddenly thought about their utility bills. Last month's bill had been significantly higher than usual. She had assumed it was because of the summer heat and running the AC. But if there was another full-grown adult in the house 24/7, what about water? Gas? Ellie opened her banking app and checked the utility payments. Water was up 15%. Gas was up 20%. Electricity was up 30%. All starting right after Alex supposedly left for Miami. Ellie felt her hands and feet go numb. She walked into the kitchen and opened the fridge. The Greek yogurt she had bought last weekend. She knew there were 4 cups. Now there were 2. She had bought a dozen eggs. 5 were gone in 3 days. She had assumed she just miscounted or that Penny was eating more. Ellie closed the fridge and leaned heavily against the granite counter. Every single piece of evidence pointed to one horrifying truth. There was a third person secretly living in this house. And she, the woman of the house, hadn't noticed a thing for 50 days. If Penny hadn't spoken up, she might never have known. The terror of this realization was quickly eclipsed by something else. It meant she had completely lost control of her own life. It meant she was being played for an absolute fool. Ellie clenched her fists, her acrylic nails biting into her palms. Rage began to burn away the fear. Why? What had she done wrong? For 7 years, she had worked a corporate job, brought home money, managed the household, and deferred to her insufferable mother-in-law, who never showed an ounce of gratitude. Alex said he needed to climb the corporate ladder. She supported him. He said he had to work late. She understood. He said he had to go to Florida for 3 months. She didn't argue. And this is what she got in return. He hides in a closet and spies on her. Ellie marched toward the master bedroom and grabbed the doorknob. This time, there was no fear. Only a blazing inferno in her chest. She wanted to burst in, rip the closet doors open, drag out whoever was sitting in there, and demand to know what the hell they were playing at. But logic stopped her. She couldn't act on impulse. If it really was Alex, why was he doing this? There had to be a motive. And if he had successfully hidden in there for 50 days, it meant this was highly premeditated. This level of calculation wasn't just a prank. Ellie let go of the knob and took a few steps back. She needed a plan. First, confirm it's Alex. Second, find out his endgame. Then, decide what to do. Ellie barely slept that night. She lay in Penny's twin bed, holding her daughter, her eyes wide open in the dark. Her ears strained for any sound coming from across the hall. But the night remained quiet, save for the wind and the occasional hum of a car passing through the subdivision. By morning, Ellie's eyes were bloodshot. She got up quietly and made Penny some Eggo waffles. "Mommy, your eyes are so red," Penny observed from the kitchen island, looking concerned. "Mommy just didn't sleep well. Bad dreams." Ellie forced a smile and pushed a glass of milk toward her daughter. "I'm going to take you to school today, and then Mommy has some errands to run. Are you coming home early?" "Yes. I'll be the first one in the pickup line." After dropping Penny off, Ellie didn't go to the office. She took another personal day and drove straight to a Best Buy in the next town over. "I need a nanny cam." "A micro camera," she told the teenager in the blue polo, trying to sound casual. "Something covert. Needs to connect to my phone for live streaming." The employee showed her a few models. Ellie chose the smallest one, the size of a quarter, which had a magnetic backing. Her hands shook slightly as she swiped her credit card. She never thought she'd see the day she was installing surveillance equipment in her own home to spy on her own husband. But since it had come to this, she was going to get the truth. Back home, Ellie stood outside the master bedroom, took a few deep breaths, and walked in. Sunlight flooded the room. Everything looked painfully normal. The dark wood of the walk-in closet doors stood silently in the corner. Ellie walked over and opened the doors. Everything was just as it was yesterday. Clothes hung neatly. She thoroughly inspected the back walls, looking for hidden compartments or fake panels, but found nothing. Could there be a void behind the closet? Ellie remembered the blueprints. That was a load-bearing wall. There couldn't be a secret alcove. Plus, the closet organizers were custom-built and sat flush against the drywall. She stepped back and calculated the dimensions. It was about 6 feet wide and 8 feet deep. For a grown man, it would be suffocatingly tight. To spend 50 days in there, Ellie shook her head, unable to fathom it. She took out the micro camera and found the perfect spot. On a bookshelf opposite the closet sat a decorative photo frame. She stuck the magnetic camera to the back edge of the frame, the lens pointing directly at the closet doors. She opened the app on her iPhone and adjusted the angle. The feed was crystal clear in 1080p, capturing the entire closet and most of the bedroom. She turned on motion detection alerts. Anytime there was movement, the camera would record and push a notification to her phone. Her trap set, she walked out and pulled the bedroom door shut. Now all she had to do was wait. At noon, Ellie ate a quick salad. Her phone was silent, no notifications. She opened the live feed. The bedroom was empty. The closet doors remained tightly shut. At 2 p.m., just as Ellie was getting ready to leave for the school pickup line, her phone buzzed violently. Motion detected. Ellie's heart dropped into her stomach. She tapped the notification. The video loaded. On the screen, the right side of the closet door was pushed open a few inches. A hand reached out. Ellie held her breath, her eyes glued to the screen. She knew that hand. Long fingers, and on the wrist, a watch. Alex's watch. A silver fossil chronograph she had bought him for their 3rd anniversary. The blood rushed to Ellie's head, making her dizzy. It's him. The hand felt around the outside of the door, as if checking something, then retreated. The door clicked shut. The whole thing took less than 10 seconds. If she hadn't been looking at the screen, she would have missed it. Ellie collapsed onto the living room sofa. Her phone slipped from her fingers and bounced on the cushions. It really was him. Her husband was genuinely hiding in their closet. And he had just reached out. It was only an arm, but it proved Penny wasn't lying. It proved he had been in this house for nearly 2 months, secretly watching her. Ellie buried her face in her hands. Her shoulders shook not from fear, but from a toxic mix of rage, humiliation, and a bone-chilling cold. 7 years of marriage. Who the hell was she married to? Her phone rang again. This time, it was Martha. Ellie stared at the caller ID, and suddenly, puzzle pieces snapped into place. Martha's unannounced visit yesterday, the cruel comments. And right before Alex left on his trip, Martha had come over. She and Alex had a long, hushed conversation in the home office. Right after that, Alex announced the Miami project. This was a coordinated operation. Ellie answered the phone. Her voice was surprisingly steady. Hi, Martha. Ellie, you're not at work today? Martha sounded nosy. I wasn't feeling well. Took a sick day. Oh. Home alone, are you? Who else would be here? Ellie asked, her tone dripping with subtle sarcasm. Martha paused. I just worry, you know. With Alex gone, you need to be careful being all alone. Thanks for your concern, Martha. I'm perfectly fine. Ellie watched the camera feed on her phone. The closet doors were completely still. By the way, has Alex mentioned anything to you lately? About what? Well, about work? Or family plans? Martha's phrasing was purposely vague. No, we haven't talked much lately. Didn't you know, Martha? Ellie said deliberately. Ah, well, I know he's busy with the project. Martha's voice hitched with a slight panic. Well, I was just asking. Get some rest. The call ended. Ellie set the phone down and let out a cold, hollow laugh. Her mother-in-law was fishing for information. She absolutely knew Alex was in the closet. She might even be the mastermind behind this sick plot. But why? What did they want? Ellie remembered that even before the wedding, Martha hadn't approved of her. Martha thought Ellie's family was too blue-collar and her HR job wasn't prestigious enough. But Alex had insisted, and Martha had to swallow it. Over the years, Martha picked at her, hoping she'd eventually leave. But Ellie endured it for Alex, for Penny, for their family. Now, it seemed her endurance had earned her zero respect and maximum humiliation. On the drive to pick up Penny, Ellie debated her next move. Show her cards? No. She didn't know exactly what Alex and Martha were planning. If she blew up now, Alex might just walk out of the closet, and she'd never get the full truth. Pretend she didn't know and let them keep performing this twisted play? Ellie gritted her teeth. She couldn't stomach acting like everything was fine while knowing her husband was literally in the walls spying on her. It was too disgusting. Mommy, are you in a bad mood today? Penny's voice pulled Ellie back to reality. No, sweetie, Mommy's just thinking. Ellie glanced at her daughter in the rearview mirror. Penny, when you saw Daddy come out of the closet, what was he wearing? His normal weekend clothes? Penny thought hard. Sometimes his pajamas. Sometimes the clothes he wears to the office. His work clothes? Uh-huh. A button-down shirt and dress pants. Ellie frowned. If Alex was wearing work clothes, did that mean he actually left the house during the day and then snuck back into the closet at night? That didn't make sense. Did you ever see him leave the house? No. Penny shook her head. He was always inside. He only came out when I was sleeping. Ellie didn't ask anything else. Back home, she helped Penny with her spelling homework and made dinner. Everything felt normal. But inside, she was wound tight as a piano wire. At 8 p.m., Penny was watching Disney Plus in the living room. Under the guise of putting away laundry, Ellie went into the master bedroom. She quickly walked to the bookshelf, popped the magnetic camera off the frame. Aside from the incident at 2 p.m., the doors hadn't opened again. But Ellie scrubbed back and watched the 2 p.m. clip closely. She noticed a detail. When the door cracked open, there was a very faint light coming from inside like the glow of a smartphone screen. And when the hand reached out, it was holding something. Too small to make out. Ellie zoomed in as far as the app allowed. The blurry pixels formed a shape. It looked like a prescription pill bottle. Alex was notoriously healthy. He rarely took medication, aside from his Prilosec for acid reflux, which he claimed to have packed for Miami. Ellie saved the video clip, snapped the camera back onto the frame, and walked out. The moment she stepped into the living room, her phone rang. It was Alex. Ellie stared at his name, hesitated for a few seconds, and swiped to answer. Hello? Her voice was flat, devoid of emotion. Hey, Elle, you guys eat yet? Alex's voice sounded perfectly normal over the line. The background was dead silent. We ate. What about you? Just now. Had to work late, so I ordered Postmates. Alex sounded tired. How's the project going? Ellie walked out onto the back patio and slid the glass door shut. It's fine, just exhausting. I miss you and Penny. Once, those words would have warmed her heart. Now, they sounded repulsive and fake. Really? Well, take care of yourself. Ellie's tone was glacial. Is something wrong? You sound upset, Alex noted. No, just tired. Ellie stared out at the yard. The sun was setting, and lights were flicking on in the neighbors' houses. Behind every window was a family. Hers looked intact from the outside, but inside, it was rotting. By the way, my mom called me today, Alex said suddenly. And what did she say? She said you went out for drinks with a guy from your office. Alex's voice carried a hint of interrogation. How does she know that? Ellie asked. She just mentioned it. Don't let it bother you. You know how Mom is. She loves to invent drama. I don't let it bother me. Ellie laughed coldly, though Alex couldn't see her face. Do you trust me? She asked abruptly. Silence hung on the line for a few seconds. Of course I trust you. You're my wife, he said, trying to sound casual. If she didn't know the truth, she almost would have believed him. Good, I'm going to hang up. Penny is calling me. All right, have a good night. The call ended. Ellie stood on the patio. The evening breeze carried a slight chill. She wrapped her arms around herself, looking at the houses across the street. Some were brightly lit, others dark. You could hear a TV in one, silence in another. Everyone had their own life behind closed doors. So did she. Back inside, Penny had finished her show. Mommy, I'm sleepy. Okay, let's get you in the bath. While in the tub, Penny was playing with bubbles and suddenly said, Mommy, Daddy called me today. Ellie's hand froze with the washcloth. When? When I was making dinner? He called my Apple Watch from your phone. Penny held up a soapy little wrist. He said he's in Florida and he misses me. And he told me to be a good listener for you. A chill ran down Ellie's spine. Alex called Penny from her phone. She had been home all afternoon, her phone sitting on the kitchen counter. Unless he snuck out of the closet and grabbed her phone when she wasn't looking. Ellie remembered she had dozed off on the sofa for about 30 minutes that afternoon. When she woke up, her phone was in the same spot. But if Alex was fast, what else did Daddy say? He said he's coming back soon, and he asked if you had gone anywhere lately. Penny kept playing with the bubbles, oblivious to how her mother's face had drained of color. And what did you say? I told him you've been home the whole time, and that Grandma came over. What did Daddy say to that? He said, okay, and told me not to tell you he called. Penny looked up, her big eyes confused. But I think I should tell you things. Ellie hugged her daughter, her heart turning to stone. Alex was using their daughter to check up on her. If she had gone out today, Penny would have told him. And then what? What would he have done? Penny, if Daddy calls you again, you always tell Mommy, okay? Why? Daddy said it was our secret, because Mommy wants to know what Daddy is saying. Mommy misses him too, Ellie lied smoothly. Okay, Penny nodded. After tucking Penny into bed, Ellie checked her iPhone. There was no outgoing call to Penny's watch in the call log. Alex had deleted it. She opened her contacts, found Penny's watch number, hesitated, and tapped dial. Hello, Mommy? Penny's sleepy voice came through the speaker. Hey, sweetie, are you asleep yet? Almost. Is something wrong, Mommy? Nothing. Just making sure you're tucked in tight. Good night. Good night, Mommy. Hanging up, Ellie stared at her screen. Alex was capable of sneaking out and using her phone. That meant he wasn't just stuck in the closet. He had free reign of the house when she wasn't looking. And she had been completely oblivious. Ellie walked to the master bedroom door. This time, she didn't go in. She stood by the doorframe and spoke into the dark room, her voice low but piercingly clear. Alex, I know you're in there. I don't know what you and your mother are planning, but let me tell you this. I am not afraid. You can hide in there for the rest of your life for all I care. Let's see who cracks first. With that, she turned on her heel and walked away, not stopping, not waiting for a response. Back in Penny's room, she locked the door, leaned against it, and listened. Dead silence. A few minutes later, from the direction of the master bedroom, came the distinct, heavy click of the closet door opening and closing. Ellie smiled, and a tear rolled down her cheek. He finally knew that she knew. The game was on. The next morning, Ellie woke up early. She made breakfast, got Penny ready, and drove her to school just like any other day. But everything was different. She knew Alex was in the closet. Alex knew she knew. This unspoken, horrifying tension wrapped around the house like saran wrap. At the school drop-off, Ellie crouched down to adjust Penny's jacket. Penny, Auntie Olivia is going to pick you up today. Why not you? Penny grabbed Ellie's hand. Mommy has some important errands to run. I'll be back late. Ellie smoothed her daughter's hair. You're going to go to Auntie Olivia's house, do your homework, have dinner, and wait for me to come get you. Okay. Penny nodded obediently. Remember, no matter who asks, you tell them Mommy is working late tonight. Understand? And do not tell Daddy. Especially Daddy. Ellie looked her daughter dead in the eye. This is our new secret. Even more important than the closet secret. Okay. Penny's eyes lit up. She loved having secrets with her mom. After drop-off, Ellie drove straight to her best friend's house. Olivia lived in a trendy townhome in a nicer suburb, was single, and ran her own graphic design studio. Seeing the dark circles under Ellie's eyes and her haggard appearance, Olivia was alarmed. Oh my God, what is wrong with you? Are you sick? Not sick. Worse. Ellie walked in and collapsed onto the velvet couch. What happened? Olivia poured her a glass of water and sat beside her. Ellie took a sip and unloaded everything. From the shocking revelation from her daughter, to finding the button, setting up the nanny cam, and seeing Alex's arm reach out with her own eyes. Olivia listened, her jaw practically on the floor. Are you telling me Alex has been hiding in your walk-in closet for 50 days? At least 50 days, according to Penny's counting. Ellie laughed bitterly. And my mother-in-law is in on it. They're working together. Why? What is the point of that? I don't know. Ellie shook her head. That's why I need your help. I have to verify a few things today, and Penny can't be at the house. Done. I've got Penny. Don't even worry about it, Olivia said instantly. But what are you verifying? I'm going to Alex's corporate office. Ellie set her glass down, her eyes hardening. If Alex is really hiding in the closet, his Miami project is a total lie. Someone at his firm has to know something. And I'm going to check his bank statements. If he's been home this whole time, where are all these Florida expenses coming from? Olivia looked at Ellie and suddenly pulled her into a tight hug. Ellie, I am so sorry. This is so messed up. Those simple words almost broke the dam holding back Ellie's tears. For 7 years, she had pretended to be strong, pretended to be happy. Finally, someone validated her pain. I'm fine, Ellie sniffled. I just want the truth. I'm going with you. Olivia stood up. You can't do this alone. It's too much. Ellie hesitated, then nodded. Thank you, Liv. Don't thank me. We're sisters. Olivia patted her shoulder. Sit tight. I'm gonna go put real pants on, and we'll hit his office first. Alex's firm was located in a sleek, glass high-rise downtown. Ellie had been there a few times for holiday parties, and the receptionist recognized her. Hi, Ellie. Good to see you. Are you looking for someone? The young woman at the desk asked, looking surprised. I'm looking for Alex. It's an emergency, Ellie said, keeping her voice level. Oh, but Alex is out of state on business. The receptionist looked even more confused. Out of state? Ellie's stomach twisted. Yeah, he left. What? Almost 3 months ago? Mr. Sterling put him on that big project down south. Alex is the lead. Has he been back at all recently? No, he's been down there the whole time. The receptionist shook her head. Last week, Mr. Sterling even mentioned how well Alex is crushing it down there. Said they might have to extend his deployment. Ellie and Olivia exchanged a look. Can I speak to Mr. Sterling? Mr. Sterling isn't in today. He's at a conference in New York, the receptionist said apologetically. Is Alex's office open? Can I just take a quick look? Just through the glass, Ellie requested. The receptionist hesitated but agreed. Hold on, let me grab the master key. Alex's office was at the end of the hall. It was small but very neat. Through the glass door, they could see everything. The desk was clear, save for monitors and a few file folders. His ergonomic chair was pushed in, as if he had just stepped out for coffee. But Ellie noticed one glaring detail. In the corner of the desk sat a potted monstera plant, Alex's pride and joy. The leaves were entirely yellow, crispy, and curled inward. It was dead. If Alex was truly on an important long-term business trip, his office wouldn't look like this. A coworker or an intern would have watered his plant. How long has it been since anyone watered that? Ellie asked. Oh. Yeah, the receptionist looked embarrassed. After Alex left, they locked the office. No one goes in there, meaning no one had been in there for over 2 months. Ellie nodded and didn't ask anything else. Walking out of the building and getting into Olivia's SUV, Olivia spoke first. It looks like the firm really believes he's in Florida, but the office is weird. If it's a huge 2-month project, they wouldn't just abandon his workspace. Ellie stared out the window. Unless the business trip was a fake assignment from the start. But why would the company play along? Mr. Sterling and Alex are pretty tight. Maybe Alex called in a massive favor? Olivia guessed. Ellie remembered Alex mentioning how much Robert Sterling had mentored him. But to go this far? To fake a corporate trip just so he can hide in my closet? Not fake a trip to hide in a closet. Ellie gripped her purse strap. He's hiding in the closet as part of faking the trip. Olivia stared at her. What? It means the trip is part of the plan, and hiding in the closet is the execution. Ellie's eyes went icy cold. They have this whole thing mapped out. I just don't know the objective. Next, Ellie drove to a Chase Bank branch. She was an authorized user on Alex's credit card, so she could pull the recent statements. At the ATM, she printed out the last 3 months of transactions. A long receipt printed out. Most of it was normal. Whole Foods, Exxon, local restaurants. But starting the day Alex left, there was a flurry of charges in Miami. Hotels, dinners, Ubers. It happened almost every day. It genuinely looked like someone living in Florida on an expense account. But as Ellie scrutinized it, she noticed glaring inconsistencies. The amounts were incredibly uniform. The hotel charged the exact same rate every single day. The restaurant bills were almost identically priced. And the timestamps were strictly grouped around 12 p.m. and 7 p.m., like an automated schedule. It's too perfectly timed, Olivia pointed out, reading over Ellie's shoulder. A normal person traveling for work doesn't spend money like a robot. Ellie pointed to a specific charge. Look. 10 p.m., a charge at a CVS in Miami for $5.80. The next day, 10 p.m., the exact same CVS, the exact same amount. The third day, same thing. That doesn't happen in real life. Ellie crumpled the receipt. These charges are manufactured. He probably had someone down there swipe a duplicate card or set up a recurring automated charge system. Alex isn't in Florida. He's been in our house this whole time, creating a paper trail so everyone, including me, believes he's out of town. Her voice shook at the end. To be deceived to this microscopic degree by the person closest to her was a feeling worse than betrayal. Where to now? Olivia asked gently. Home. Ellie's jaw was set. You go back to your place. I'm not picking up Penny right now. I'm dealing with Alex. I should go with you. Olivia looked worried. No. This is between me and my husband. Ellie shook her head. You watch, Penny. I'll come get her tonight. If I don't show up, call the cops. Olivia blanched. Is it really that serious? I don't know. Ellie laughed bitterly. I don't know what Alex and Martha have planned. But faking a business trip to live in a wall for 50 days? We're past normal marital problems. After dropping Olivia off, Ellie drove back to the suburbs alone. The drive gave her time to think. She thought about how she and Alex had reconnected at a college alumni tailgate. She had just gone through a bad breakup and was a wreck. Alex had been there gentle, attentive. He remembered her coffee order, brought her Thai takeout when she worked late, took care of her when she had the flu. He'd hold her tight and say, I've got you. It was that tenderness that made her marry him, despite everything else. Even knowing his mother, Martha, looked down on her for being a state school grad with a middle-class background. Ellie thought that if she worked hard enough and played the dutiful daughter-in-law, she'd eventually win Martha over and have a happy family. After the wedding, she killed herself trying. She climbed the ladder at work, managed the mortgage, cooked, cleaned, and endured Martha's constant passive-aggressive jabs. Martha criticized. Ellie compromised. Martha talked trash about her to Alex. Ellie bit her tongue to keep the peace. After Penny was born, things got crazier. She worked, raised their daughter, and ran the house. Exhausted to the bone every single day. But she never complained, because she believed that as long as they were a team, they could weather any storm. She never expected her sacrifices to culminate in this. Her husband lurking in the closet like a serial killer. Her mother-in-law pulling strings in the dark. The two of them constructing a massive lie, playing her for a complete idiot. Ellie gripped the steering wheel, tears finally spilling over. She didn't know what she did wrong. Why was she being punished? She just wanted a normal life. To love her husband, keep the peace with her mother-in-law, and watch her daughter grow up happy. Why was such a basic human desire so impossible to achieve? She cried for miles, but eventually she dried her eyes. Tears wouldn't fix this. She had to find Alex, extract the truth, and get justice for herself and for Penny. She pulled into the driveway but didn't immediately go inside. She stood on the porch, took several deep breaths, and unlocked the front door. The house was quiet, exactly as she had left it. But she could feel a shift in the atmosphere. The air felt heavy. Ellie dropped her purse, kicked off her flats, and walked into the center of the living room. She didn't go to the bedroom. She didn't look at the hallway. She sat on the couch, grabbed the remote, and turned on the TV. She kept the volume relatively low, just enough to provide background noise. She sat there, staring at the screen, absorbing nothing. She was waiting for Alex to come out on his own. Since the jig was up after her comment last night, there was no point in him hiding anymore. Time ticked by, minute by agonizing minute. A daytime talk show droned on. The sun crawled across the hardwood floor. 1 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Not a sound from the bedroom. Ellie's patience wore thin. Had she miscalculated? Was Alex planning to literally die in that closet rather than face her? She stood up and marched to the master bedroom. The door was still slightly ajar. She pushed it open. The room was empty. The closet doors were tightly shut. Ellie walked right up to the heavy wooden doors. Alex, come out, she commanded. Let's talk. No answer. Ellie reached out and grabbed the metal handle. This time, there was no hesitation. She yanked it hard. The door slid open on its tracks. Everything inside was exposed. The clothes hung perfectly in a row. The shelves were pristine. No Alex, no secret panels, no hidden crawl spaces. Nothing. Ellie froze. Had she been wrong this whole time? Was everything Penny said just the wild imagination of a kid missing her dad? Were the utility bills and missing food just coincidences? She stood paralyzed, her fingers still gripping the cold metal handle. Her eyes scanned the interior, as if trying to burn a hole through the perfectly pressed Brooks Brothers suits. On the left, her maxi dresses hung neatly. On the right, his suits were pristine in their garment bags. Exactly how she maintained them. The middle shelves held color-coordinated sweaters. Even the cashmere scarf she had tossed up there last week hadn't moved an inch. The plastic storage bins on the floor were untouched. The drywall behind the clothes was solid. There was absolutely no physical space for a grown man to be hiding. The thought pierced Ellie's heart like a needle. Penny's words. The breathing in the dark. The hand with the fossil watch on the video. The spiked water bill. The missing yogurt. Martha's weird comments. Did none of it connect? Was Penny just a lonely little girl who missed her dad so much she constructed a 50-day timeline in her head? But the details were too specific, the hand gesture, the Florida location, the trips to the kitchen. Was Ellie herself cracking up? Under the pressure of her job, Martha's bullying, and Alex's emotional distance, had she snapped and started hearing phantom breathing? But the nanny cam footage. She had watched it a dozen times. The hand. The watch. There was no mistaking it. Or, did Alex sneak out while she was downtown checking his bank statements? Ellie snapped out of her daze, rushed over to the bookshelf, and snatched the magnetic camera. Her fingers fumbled as she connected it to the app and scrubbed through the footage from this morning. The timeline showed she left the house at 9:17 a.m. The room was quiet. The sun shifted. At 9:46 a.m., the closet door moved. It didn't just crack open, it slid all the way back. A familiar figure stepped out. It was Alex. He was wearing gray sweatpants and a worn-out t-shirt. His hair was a greasy mess. Dark bags hung heavy under his eyes. And his face was gaunt and exhausted. He looked nothing like the sharp corporate climber he projected in his photos. After stepping out of the closet, he didn't immediately leave the room. He leaned against the doorframe and buried his face in his hands. His shoulders heaved as if he were trying to suppress a violent sob. Ellie's heart hammered in her chest, her hands gripping the phone tight enough to crack the screen. The glare illuminated her pale face. On the video, Alex eventually lowered his hands. His face was wet with tears. He looked nervously toward the hallway, then tiptoed over to the bed and sat down. His eyes locked onto the framed photo of them on the dresser. His expression was a tortured mix of guilt, pain, and a profound inner conflict. He sat there like a statue for 10 full minutes. Then he stood up, walked to the kitchen, off camera, and returned a moment later with a cup of Greek yogurt, the exact brand Ellie noticed was missing, and a piece of bread, which he ate ravenously. But his body language was hyper-vigilant. He kept glancing at the front door, terrified she might walk in. After eating, he walked out onto the back patio. He pulled out his phone, turned his back to the camera, and made a call. The camera didn't pick up audio, but Ellie could see his body language escalating. He was pacing, gesturing wildly, arguing with whoever was on the other line. He gripped his phone so hard his knuckles were white. At one point, he raised his arm as if he was going to spike the phone into the concrete, but he caught himself, gritted his teeth, and hung up. After the call, Alex stood at the patio railing for a long time, staring out at the yard. The morning sun hit him, making him look incredibly pathetic. Finally, he turned around, walked to the entryway, and pulled a pair of Nike running shoes out of the hall closet. He grabbed a black Under Armour duffel bag, hastily stuffed a few items inside, and took one last, agonizing look toward the master bedroom. It was a look of profound regret. Then he opened the front door, slipped out, and closed it quietly behind him. Timestamp. Du, Vint, I, Sync, AM. Ellie watched the clip over and over until her phone grew hot against her numb fingers. She finally had absolute proof. She wasn't crazy. Penny wasn't lying. Alex really had spent 50 days living inside their walls, and he had just abandoned his post. He left in a hurry, but with heavy reluctance. But where did he go? Who was he fighting with on the phone? Martha? Someone else? Why was he hiding in the closet in the first place? Why fake the Miami trip? Why run away now? What massive, ugly secret was driving all of this? A million questions swarmed in Ellie's head, giving her a splitting migraine. She walked out to the patio, staring in the direction Alex had gone. Her soul was a battlefield of rage, betrayal, confusion, and anxiety. It was suffocating. She took out her phone and dialed Alex's number. It rang for a long time before he finally picked up. Hello? Alex's voice was hoarse and exhausted. In the background, there was the faint sound of wind and highway traffic. Alex, where are you? Ellie's voice was dead calm. It was so calm it surprised even her. It was as if the woman who had been having a mental breakdown 10 minutes ago was someone else entirely. Silence stretched on the other end. Ellie, I'm in Florida. Things got crazy with the project today. I'm out on a site visit. Really? Ellie let out a dry, sarcastic laugh. You're in Florida? Then why didn't you mention it when you walked out of our front door this morning? And those clothes in your duffel bag, are those for the Miami heat? Or are you just looking for a new place to hide from me? Dead silence. The only sound was the wind rushing against his phone mic. It felt like an eternity before Alex spoke again. When he did, his voice broke, heavy with guilt and despair. Ellie, you know everything? I know. Ellie's voice began to rise, the dam finally breaking. Years of repressed anger and the sheer insanity of the last 24 hours exploded. I know you've been hiding in our closet for 50 days. I know you faked the Miami trip to spy on me. I know you and your mother have been playing me for an absolute fool. Alex, tell me, why? What did I ever do to you to deserve this? Why would you do this to me? Why lie to me like this? Are you even a man? Do you have a single thought in your head that your mother didn't put there? Did you think about me? About Penny? About our marriage? I did. Of course I thought about it. Alex sounded frantic, on the verge of a breakdown. Ellie, every single day I sat in that dark closet, watching you take care of Penny all by yourself, watching you carry the weight of this whole family. It killed me. It was absolute torture. I felt like the biggest piece of garbage on earth. I wanted to come out 1,000 times. I wanted to tell you the truth, but I couldn't. I swear to God I couldn't. Why couldn't you? Ellie demanded. What possible reason could you have to choose to live in a closet and lie to my face instead of just talking to me? Alex, we're married. What could be so bad that we couldn't handle it together as a team? Alex choked on his words. He was silent for a long time before forcing out, Ellie, please don't ask. Let me figure this out. Once I handle things on my end, I'll come home. I'll tell you everything. I promise. Just give me a little more time. I'm not giving you a damn second, Ellie said firmly. Alex, I want the truth right now. Tell me where you are. I'm coming to get you. No, Ellie, you can't. Alex's voice spiked with panic. Where I am right now, it's dangerous for you. If you come here, it's only going to make things worse, trust me. I will fix this as fast as I can and come home. Dangerous? Ellie's stomach dropped. His words only made her more confused and terrified. What was he involved in that he considered dangerous? Alex, what happened? Did your mom do something? Are you in some kind of trouble? Ellie's tone softened slightly, fear bleeding through the anger. Regardless of what he had done, he was still her husband and Penny's father. She couldn't just let him be in danger. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Alex's tone softened too. I'm just taking care of a personal issue. It'll all be over soon. Ellie, stay at the house. Take care of Penny. Don't overthink this. And whatever you do not go see my mother, okay? When I get back, everything will be fine. Ellie wanted to press further, but the line clicked. He hung up. She tried calling back, but it went straight to voicemail. His phone was off. Ellie stood on the patio, feeling a hollow emptiness. Alex's evasiveness, his guilt, his talk of being forced, and it being dangerous, convinced her this was way bigger than she realized. And Martha definitely held all the cards. Just then, the doorbell rang. Ellie flinched. She walked to the front door and looked through the peephole. It was Martha. Ellie took a deep breath, forcing her heart rate down. Whatever was about to happen, it was time. She unlocked the deadbolt and pulled the door open. Her face was an impenetrable mask. Martha, you're here. Martha stood on the porch holding a Whole Foods paper bag. She wore a look of exaggerated, theatrical concern. She brushed past Ellie into the foyer, her eyes immediately darting around the house as if looking for someone. Ellie, sweetheart, I came to check on you. Figured I'd make you some dinner. You're home all alone, you probably don't have the energy to cook, and you can't be skipping meals. Oh, where's Penny? She's not here. She's at Olivia's. Ellie closed the door, her voice devoid of any warmth. She watched Martha's eyes scan the living room with a mix of paranoia and curiosity. She was obviously looking for Alex. Martha nodded and set the groceries on the kitchen island. She turned to Ellie, her fake concern intensifying. Ellie, you look terrible. Are you still feeling sick? When we spoke yesterday, you sounded off. If you're really ill, go to urgent care. Don't tough it out. Everything is fine on my end. Ellie leaned against the back of the sofa, crossing her arms, and stared dead-eyed at her mother-in-law. Martha, you didn't just come here to cook me dinner and check my temperature, did you? Martha's bustling movements paused. The plastic smile froze on her face, but she quickly recovered. Ellie, what a thing to say. I'm your mother-in-law. It's my job to look after you and Penny. You seem like you have a lot on your mind. With Alex gone, if you're struggling with something, just tell me. I'll help however I can. Struggling? Ellie let out a sharp, humorless laugh. Yeah. My struggle is that I don't know where my husband actually is. I don't know why my husband has been hiding in my walk-in closet for 50 days, faking a trip to Miami just to spy on me. I don't know why my own mother-in-law conspired with him to play me for an idiot. Can you help me with that struggle, Martha? The words landed like a bomb in the middle of the open-concept living room. All the color drained from Martha's face. The fake concern and nosy curiosity in her eyes were instantly replaced by sheer panic and shock. She stared at Ellie, her lips trembling. She couldn't speak for a solid 10 seconds. Ellie, you! I know, Ellie nodded, her voice calm but lined with steel. Not only do I know Alex was in the closet, I know he packed a bag and ran away this morning. I know you've been lying to me this whole time. Martha, I only want to know one thing right now. Why? Why was Alex in the closet? Why the fake Florida trip? What exactly is your endgame? Martha swayed slightly and backed up until she hit the kitchen counter. Her face was chalk white. She realized the game was entirely up. This daughter-in-law she had always looked down on, bullied, and tried to control, had blown the lid off their entire operation. After a heavy silence, Martha slowly lifted her chin. The panic morphed into a cold, arrogant defiance. She glared at Ellie. Fine. You want to know? Yes, I made Alex hide in the closet. The Miami trip was my idea. So what? Ellie's chest tightened. Even though she suspected it, hearing Martha admit it out loud was a gut punch. So what? Ellie's voice rose. Martha, we are a family. What did I ever do to you that you would treat me this way? That you would orchestrate this massive lie? You're destroying our family. Family? Martha sneered, her voice dripping with venomous contempt. Oh, Ellie, don't make me laugh. Look at you. You come from nothing. Your parents are nobodies. You have an average job, and you're frankly average-looking. What gave you the right to marry my Alex? What right did you have to insert yourself into my family? Alex is exceptional. He has real potential. He could have had his pick of women. Women with connections, with money. He could be living a completely different life right now. But because of you, you're holding him back. You're an anchor dragging him down. Dragging him down. Ellie stared at the older woman in disbelief. Tears pricked her eyes. Martha, for 7 years I have worked a full-time job, paid half the mortgage, ran this house, and taken care of Alex and Penny. I have never asked you for a single dime. I never demanded anything from you. When Alex works an 80-hour week, I hold down the fort. When Alex gets sick, I take care of him. When you two get into screaming matches, I'm the one who calms him down. I raised Penny single-handedly from the day she was born because you refused to help. You have done nothing but criticize and demean me. And you're telling me I'm holding him back? That is your job, Martha barked. You married him. Being a maid and a nanny is the bare minimum. You think doing the laundry makes you a saint? In my eyes, you owe us. Owe you? Ellie's heart turned to ice. Martha, nobody owes anybody anything in this world. I am good to Alex, and I am good to this family, because I love Alex. I love my family, not because I'm paying off some imaginary debt to you. Love, Martha scoffed, rolling her eyes. Does love pay the bills? Does love get Alex made partner at the firm? Does love elevate our family's social standing? You are incredibly naive, Ellie. In the real world, the only thing that matters is leverage and status. As long as he is chained to you, he will be a middle management, nobody for the rest of his life. And that's why you made him hide in the closet and fake a business trip? To force us into a divorce? Ellie looked at Martha with a mix of disgust and rage. You want him to marry someone you approve of? Some rich girl whose daddy can give him a promotion? Martha didn't deny it. A smug, self-righteous look crossed her face. Exactly. And let me give you a piece of advice, Ellie. Be smart. File for the divorce yourself. You and Alex are from two different worlds. You can't force a square peg into a round hole. If you keep clinging to him, you're only going to ruin his future and embarrass yourself. I am not getting a divorce, Ellie stated with absolute finality. Alex and I love each other. We have Penny. Our family isn't going to break apart just because you threw a tantrum. Martha, I know you hate me. I know you think I'm not good enough for him. But I will keep trying. I will keep being a good wife and a good mother. I'm begging you, just stop torturing us. Begging me? Martha laughed. A harsh, grating sound. You think begging is going to soften me up? Let me be perfectly clear. No. I've made my decision. I will see to it that you and Alex are divorced. If you don't pack your bags and leave this family on your own, I will make your life a living hell. What more could you possibly do? Ellie asked, exasperated. You already forced him to live in a closet like a rat for 50 days to spy on me. You've lied to me for 2 months. Is that not enough? What else are you planning? What am I planning? Martha's eyes narrowed into icy slits. I'm going to humiliate you. I'm going to make sure Alex sees exactly what you are. I want you to run away in shame. Ellie, did you honestly think I put him in that closet just to watch you watch Netflix? I was looking for leverage. I was waiting for you to slip up. The second you made a mistake, the second I had proof you were cheating on him, Alex would have divorced you in a heartbeat. And you wouldn't have had a leg to stand on. Ellie froze. The pieces finally clicked together. She understood. She understood why Martha put him in there. She understood the constant probing questions on the phone. She understood the rumors about the office happy hour. Martha wanted to catch her in an affair. Martha wanted to manufacture a reason for a divorce. So, that guy at the corporate happy hour taking pictures of me, Ellie said, staring at her mother-in-law. You hired him. And those fake text messages you found linking me to a male coworker, that was you. You faked evidence to convince Alex I was cheating on him, and used that to manipulate him into hiding in the closet to catch me in the act. Martha smiled, looking incredibly pleased with herself. Yes, I did. You're too naive, Ellie. You thought you were playing the perfect little housewife. But you had no idea I hired a private investigator to follow you. I thought the second I handed Alex those photos, he'd dump you immediately. But I didn't realize my son was such a weak, spineless coward. He dragged his feet for months, trying to protect your reputation. He even sat in that closet and cried over you. Martha's voice filled with disgust. I don't know how I raised such a pathetic son. Throwing his entire career away for some average woman. He stopped taking my calls. I put him in that closet to find proof to ruin you, not to sit in the dark and feel sorry for you. Ellie stared at Martha, pure revulsion washing over her. She finally saw the woman for what she truly was, a selfish, cruel, narcissistic control freak. Martha didn't give a damn about Alex's happiness. She didn't care about their family. She only cared about her own ego, her own status, and bragging rights at her country club. You have crossed a line, Martha, Ellie said, her voice shaking with righteous anger. Alex is your son, not your property. He has his own mind, his own feelings, his own life. You cannot control his every move and force him to do things that destroy his soul. Alex and I love each other. We have a daughter. We are not getting divorced. I don't care what you do, or what lies you invent. We will never get divorced. How dare you? Martha trembled with fury, pointing a manicured finger at Ellie. You dare speak to me like that? You dare defy me? Let me tell you, you are going to lose. I will make sure you are divorced if it's the last thing I do. Even if it kills me, I will drag you out of this family. Click. The front door slowly pushed open. Alex stood in the entryway. He was pale, his clothes rumpled, his expression unreadable as he stared at the two women in the living room. His Under Armour duffel bag dropped from his shoulder, hitting the floor with a heavy thud. Clothes spilled out onto the entryway rug. He had clearly come back and heard the entire screaming match. "Alex, you're back!" Martha dropped her furious glare and immediately rushed over to him, grabbing his arm. "Alex, tell this woman to pack her things. Tell her it's over. She is a liability. She is going to ruin your career. You cannot let her manipulate you anymore." Alex didn't say a word. He slowly, deliberately peeled his mother's fingers off his arm and looked at Ellie. Ellie looked back. Her eyes were full of pain, anger, and a desperate sliver of hope. Hope that he would finally stand up, tell the truth, and defend her and their daughter. After a suffocating silence, Alex finally spoke. His voice was ragged, exhausted, and hollowed out by guilt. "Mom, stop it. Alex, how can you say that?" Martha gasped, looking at him in betrayal. "I am doing this for you. For your future. For our family. You can't throw away everything I've worked for because of this." "This woman. For my future?" Alex looked at his mother. His eyes were swimming with profound disappointment and agony. "Mom, your version of for my future was forcing me to hide in a closet and spy on the woman I love. It was forcing me to lie to the woman I love. It was trying to force me to divorce the woman I love using fake photoshopped evidence. Mom, this isn't for my future. This is torture. You're destroying my family. You pushed me right to the edge of a cliff." "I did not," Martha shrieked. "Alex, I just want you to have a better life. I want you to have a better career." "What did I do wrong?" "Ellie is not good enough for you. She cannot give you the life you deserve. Only by leaving her can you get to the top. The life I want isn't about climbing the corporate ladder or impressing your country club friends," Alex shouted, his voice cracking with emotion. "The life I want is coming home to Ellie, coming home to Penny. Just being a normal, happy family. Mom, you never once asked me what I wanted. You never listened to me. You just shove your own twisted ambitions down my throat and demand I obey you. Because I'm your mother. I have every right to tell you how to live." Tears streamed down Martha's face, a mix of fury and self-pity. "I sacrificed everything to raise you. It wasn't easy. I put all my hopes and dreams on your shoulders. I just wanted you to have the best. I didn't want you to struggle like I did. What did I do wrong? I know it wasn't easy for you, Mom. I know you think you're doing this out of love." Alex's tone broke, his eyes filling with tears of guilt. "But your method is toxic. You can't claim to love me while systematically destroying the people I love. Mom, Ellie is a good woman. She is kind, she works hard. She is a great mother. She has done so much for us. She never cheated on me. She never betrayed this family. That evidence you gave me was fake, and you know it. Stop lying to yourself." "Fine, I'm lying to myself," Martha yelled stubbornly. "But she is still not good enough for you. Even without the cheating, I will never accept her. Alex, if you don't divorce her right now, I will disown you. I will drop dead right here in front of you." "Mom," Alex sobbed, completely breaking down. "Why are you doing this to me? Why?" Ellie stood there, watching this toxic dynamic play out, the agonizing pain on her husband's face, the unyielding, manipulative stubbornness of her mother-in-law. A deep, heavy sadness washed over her. She walked over to Alex, gently took his trembling hand, and turned to look Martha dead in the eye. "Martha, I know you despise me. I know you think I'm white trash and not good enough for your son. And I know that no matter what I do, I will probably never get your genuine approval. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I love Alex. I love Penny. And I want to build a happy life with them. I am not divorcing Alex. Even if you disown him, even if you try to drop dead on my living room rug, I am not signing divorce papers." Ellie paused, her tone softening just a fraction. "Martha, I know you worked hard as a single mom. I know you worry about him and want him to succeed. But did it ever occur to you that real success isn't a VP title or a Rolex? It's having a family that actually likes each other. A family that understands, forgives, and cares for each other. Alex doesn't want to play corporate Game of Thrones. He just wants a warm house to come home to. I am going to keep being a good wife to Alex and a good mother to Penny. I'm going to keep improving. And maybe, someday, you'll find it in yourself to accept that." Martha stared at Ellie. She saw the unwavering, fierce sincerity in Ellie's eyes. She saw the tortured, broken expression on her son's face. For the first time in 7 years, the ice around Martha's heart began to crack. She thought back on the last 7 years. Ellie's patience. Ellie's sacrifices. How Ellie took care of Alex when he was sick. How Ellie managed Penny's life without a nanny. She remembered that Ellie had never once yelled at her, never once fired back at her cruel insults until today. Deep down, buried under layers of classist snobbery and ego, she knew the truth. Ellie was a good woman, a devoted wife, and an incredible mother. Maybe she had been wrong. Maybe she had been projecting her own insecurities and using a twisted form of love to torture her own son and destroy a family that was perfectly happy without her meddling. Maybe Ellie and Alex really did love each other. Maybe Ellie was exactly what Alex needed. Martha's tears flowed faster now, ruining her expensive makeup. She swayed, reaching out to steady herself against the wall. Her voice was raspy, stripped of all its previous venom. I was wrong. Mom, you weren't wrong. You just love me too much, and you went about it the wrong way. Alex stepped forward and wrapped his arms around his mother. He buried his face in her shoulder and wept. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't brave enough to just be honest with you. I'm sorry I shut you out and made you crazy. I'm going to do better. I'm going to work hard, provide for my family, and take care of you, and Ellie, and Penny. We're going to be okay. Ellie stepped forward too and gently placed a hand over Martha's. The older woman's hand was cold and trembling slightly. Ellie looked at her with pure, unadulterated grace. Martha, I'm sorry too. I should have tried harder to understand where you were coming from. Moving forward, I'm going to make sure you're a bigger part of our lives. We are one family. Let's just live in peace. Martha looked at Alex, then at Ellie. The sincerity and forgiveness in their eyes finally broke her completely. She let out a loud, ugly sob and nodded her head. Okay. We are a family. Martha grabbed Ellie's hand, squeezing it tight. Ellie, I am so sorry. This was all my fault. I was so awful to you. I lied, I manipulated you. I forced Alex to do things that broke his heart. Can you ever forgive me? I forgive you, Martha, Ellie smiled, wiping a tear from her own cheek. We're family. There's nothing to forgive. From now on, no more lies, no more mind games, no more closet secrets. We're just going to be a normal family. Yes, okay. Martha nodded frantically, clinging to Ellie's hand like it was a lifeline. For her entire adult life, Martha had believed that money, status, and appearances were the only things that equated to happiness. Today, she learned that true happiness wasn't a corner office. It was a family standing together in a living room, choosing to forgive, understand, and love one another despite their flaws. The late afternoon sun poured through the bay windows, bathing the three of them in warm, golden light. The toxic tension, the resentment, the paranoia that had poisoned the house for 50 days simply evaporated. All that was left was remorse, profound relief, and a desperate desire to protect what they almost lost. Ellie, I am so sorry, Martha repeated, her voice thick with emotion. I was so selfish. I was only thinking about what I wanted for this family, and I completely ignored your humanity. I ignored everything you contributed. The horrible things I said, hiring that investigator. It was unforgivable. Please, don't hold it against me. I won't, Martha. Ellie patted the older woman's hand gently. I know you were operating out of a misplaced sense of love for Alex. Let's just leave it in the past. We're moving forward. Alex stood back, watching the two most important women in his life. The boulder that had been sitting on his chest for 2 months finally vanished. For 50 days, he had sat in that dark, cramped walk-in closet, suffocating in guilt and paranoia. He was torn in half. On one side was his mother, who had sacrificed her youth to raise him and demanded obedience. On the other was his wife, the love of his life, who was keeping their world spinning while he hid like a coward. He had been on the absolute brink of a mental breakdown. Now, the war was over. The lies were exposed. He didn't have to hide anymore. He could finally look them in the eye. Mom, Ellie, I'm so sorry. Alex pulled them both into a group hug. His voice was raw. Mom, I promise I'm going to make more time for you. I won't shut you out anymore. But you have to respect my boundaries, respect my marriage, and respect Ellie. And Ellie. God, I am so sorry I put you through this psychological torture. I will never, ever lie to you again. I will never let you carry the weight of this family alone. Whatever happens, it's you and me against the world. I know. Ellie leaned her head against Alex's chest, nodding fiercely. The tears flowed again, but this time, they were tears of immense relief and joy. 7 years of swallowing her pride hadn't been for nothing. She had finally earned Alex's spine, Martha's respect, and the peace her family deserved. Martha leaned against Alex's other shoulder, sniffling. Okay, whatever you guys want. I promise. I am done meddling. I will never interfere in your marriage again. I just want us to be happy. They stood there in a tight embrace, the only sound in the house being their collective, healing tears. It took a while for everyone to calm down. Martha wiped her face, and a genuine, gentle smile appeared, one Ellie had rarely seen. Ellie, I brought groceries, Martha said, picking up the Whole Foods bag. I'm going to make that Yankee pot roast you love. You need a good, hearty meal. You look exhausted. Ellie felt a warmth spread through her chest. Thank you, Martha. Let me help you prep. I'm helping too, Alex smiled, picking up his duffel bag to toss it aside and rolling up his sleeves. Before today, Alex had rarely stepped foot in the kitchen. He was a classic corporate guy. He brought home the bacon. Ellie cooked it. But today, he grabbed the cutting board and a knife and started chopping the celery and carrots. His knife skills were clumsy, but his effort was entirely genuine. The three of them moved around the kitchen together. Martha seasoned the chuck roast. Ellie prepped the potatoes and Alex chopped the vegetables. Slowly, tentative laughter began to bounce off the subway tile backsplash. The house finally felt like a home. While the roast simmered in the Dutch oven, Martha leaned against the counter and brought up the elephant in the room. Her tone was apologetic. Ellie, honestly, when I forced Alex to do this, I was out of my mind. I had heard through the grapevine that a senior VP's daughter at Alex's firm had a crush on him. That VP is incredibly well connected. He could have fast-tracked Alex to partner in a year. I got blinded by the greed. I wanted Alex to divorce you and marry her, but Alex absolutely refused. He said he loved you, that he would never abandon you or Penny. I couldn't accept that, so I hatched this insane plot. I told him he had to go into the closet, fake the Miami trip, and wait for my private investigator to catch you cheating. I figured once I had photos of you with another man, Alex would have no choice but to leave you. But I didn't expect Alex to completely abandon the plan. Instead of helping me find proof, he just secretly watched you take care of the house, and he just felt guiltier and guiltier. That time you went to the office happy hour? I paid a guy to take photos of you talking to your coworker, and I fabricated text messages to make it look like an affair. I sent them to Alex in the closet. But when Alex saw them, he didn't even buy it. He was upset, sure. But he told me he knew your character, and you would never do that. Listening to this, Ellie felt no anger, only pity. She understood that Martha's actions, however psychotic, were born out of a lifetime of financial anxiety and a twisted desire for her son to be safe at the top of the food chain. She just chose the most destructive path possible to get there. Martha, I know you were looking out for him in your own way, Ellie said softly. But marriage isn't a corporate merger. Alex and I love each other. We might live in the suburbs, we might have a mortgage, but we are happy. And we're going to keep working hard. We won't let you down. Alex set his knife down and looked at his mother. Mom, Ellie is right. I don't care about making partner if it means selling my soul. I care about you, Ellie, and Penny. As long as we have each other, I'm rich. I'm going to bust my ass at work. I'll provide for us, but I am never letting ambition destroy my family again. Martha nodded, looking at them with pride. I understand now. I really do. As long as you two are happy and healthy, I can sleep at night. An hour later, the house smelled incredible. The pot roast was tender, the mashed potatoes were buttery, and there was a massive bowl of Caesar salad and some mac and cheese for Penny. Let's get Penny, Ellie smiled, pulling out her phone. She texted Olivia, "Mission accomplished. Bring the monkey home. We made pot roast." Olivia texted back immediately, "On my way. Thank God. See you in 10." Within 15 minutes, Olivia's SUV pulled into the driveway. As soon as Penny walked through the front door and saw Alex standing in the kitchen, her jaw dropped. "Daddy!" She dropped her backpack, sprinted across the hardwood floor, and launched herself into Alex's arms. "Daddy, you're finally out! I missed you so much!" Alex buried his face in his daughter's neck, his eyes instantly watering. He kissed her cheek and whispered, "I'm back, baby girl. Daddy missed you so much. I'm so sorry I made you wait, and I'm sorry I made you worry. Are you going back in the closet?" Penny pulled back, looking at him with wide, hopeful eyes. "I don't want you to play hide and seek anymore. I want you to eat dinner with us, and tuck me in, and read me Pete the Cat." Alex's heart shattered and reformed all at once. He hugged her impossibly tight and nodded. "I promise, Penny. Daddy is never, ever going back in the closet. I am never leaving you again. I'm going to eat dinner with you every night, tuck you in every night, and read you as many books as you want." "Yay!" Penny cheered, clapping her hands. She wiggled down, ran over to Ellie, and hugged her leg. "Mommy! Daddy is back! We're all together again." "Yes, we are, sweetie. All together." Ellie crouched down, kissed Penny's forehead, and smiled brightly. Olivia stood in the entryway, watching the scene unfold. A huge, relieved smile spread across her face. "Wow. Look at you guys. I am so glad this worked out. Ellie hasn't slept in days. I'm glad the nightmare is over. Thank you so much, Liv." Ellie stood up and gave her best friend a hug. "Thank you for watching Penny and having my back." "Please, that's what ants are for." Olivia waved it off. "All right, I smell pot roast, and I am intruding on a major family moment. I'm gonna head out. Call me tomorrow." "Thanks, Olivia. Drive safe," Alex called out. With Olivia gone, the family sat down at the large dining table. Penny sat right between Alex and Ellie. She was a tiny tornado of joy, putting a piece of carrot on Alex's plate, scooping some mac and cheese for Ellie, and handing a dinner roll to Martha. "Daddy eat, Mommy eat. Grandma makes the best dinner ever." Martha beamed at her granddaughter, heaping a massive serving of pot roast onto Penny's plate. "Eat up, sweetie pie. You need to grow big and strong." Alex looked at Ellie, then at Penny, then at his mother. The sheer gratitude radiating from him was palpable. He picked up the serving fork, placed a tender cut of beef on Ellie's plate, and said softly, "Eat up, Elle. You've been running on fumes." Ellie met his gaze, feeling the warmth of his love wash over her. She nodded and took a bite. It was the best meal she had eaten in her life, not just because of the seasoning, but because it tasted like home. Throughout dinner, Penny chattered nonstop about school, her friends on the playground, and the art project they did in class. The dining room echoed with her giggles and the light, easy conversation of the adults. Martha chimed in, asking about Penny's teacher and Ellie's job, her tone completely devoid of its usual condescension. Alex was fully present, actively engaging in the conversation, laughing, and holding Ellie's hand under the table. After dinner, Alex insisted on doing the dishes. Ellie and Martha sat in the living room with cups of decaf coffee. Martha held Ellie's hand, telling stories about when Alex was a little boy playing Little League, and about her own struggles as a young mother. Her voice was nostalgic and kind. Ellie listened patiently, occasionally adding a comment, genuinely enjoying the company of the woman she used to dread. Meanwhile, Penny stood on a step stool next to Alex at the kitchen sink, watching him scrub the Dutch oven. "Daddy, are you tired?" she asked, grabbing a dish towel. "I'll dry your hands." Alex looked down at his daughter, his heart incredibly full. "Thanks, sweetie. You're the best helper in the world." That night, after Penny had her bath, Alex read her 3 books and tucked her in. Ellie went to the guest bedroom and turned down the sheets for Martha, fluffing her pillows. In the past, Martha would have complained about the thread count or how the corners were tucked. Tonight, she just sat on the edge of the bed, looking at Ellie with deep gratitude. "Thank you, Ellie," Martha said softly. "You've had a hell of a time these last few years. I promise you, from now on, I am going to treat you like my own flesh and blood." "You don't have to thank me, Martha. It's what family does," Ellie smiled warmly. "We're going to take care of each other from now on." "Yes, we are." Martha smiled back, finally at peace. After turning off the guest room light, Ellie walked into the master bedroom. Alex was freshly showered, wearing clean pajamas, sitting on the edge of the bed waiting for her. When she walked in, he stood up, wrapped his arms around her waist, and pulled her close. "Ellie, I am so sorry I put you through hell. I swear to you, I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you." Ellie rested her head against his chest. I know. I don't blame you anymore. From now on, it's just us. No more secrets. No more hiding. Never again. Alex kissed the top of her head. Whatever life throws at us, we face it together. I'm going to be the husband and father you guys deserve. Ellie tilted her head up and met his lips. The kiss was passionate, desperate, and deeply healing. It carried the weight of remorse, forgiveness, and an unbreakable bond. Moonlight spilled through the blinds, casting a silver glow over the bedroom. The storm had finally passed. From that day on, everything changed. Martha never uttered another passive-aggressive comment. Instead, she became a massive help, picking Penny up from school, helping with the laundry, and treating Ellie with the respect and warmth of a true mother. Alex transformed. He stopped avoiding conflict and stopped hiding behind his job. If there was a problem, he tackled it with Ellie. He took over half the mental load of the household, cooked dinner twice a week, and made sure Ellie felt valued every single day. And Ellie found her joy again. The heavy anxiety that used to follow her was gone. She thrived at work, loved coming home, and relished the peace of a truly united family. On weekends, they would all go to the local farmer's market, take Penny to the park, or just grill burgers in the backyard. The house was constantly filled with music and laughter. Penny was the happiest kid in the world, basking in the love of a present father, a relaxed mother, and a doting grandmother. Sometimes, when Ellie was putting away laundry, she would look at the large, dark walk-in closet in the corner of the room. She would think about those bizarre, terrifying 50 days. She would remember the sting of Martha's deception and the agony of Alex's cowardice. But she didn't regret any of it, because those 50 days were the crucible that burned away the toxic rot in their marriage. It forced the truth into the light, broke her mother-in-law's ego, and taught them all the priceless value of honesty, grace, and forgiveness. The sun shone brightly over their suburban street. The house that had once harbored a dark, suffocating secret was now a sanctuary of warmth and love. And that walk-in closet simply went back to being a place for suits and dresses, a silent, fading monument to the hardest chapter of their lives, and a permanent reminder to never, ever take their happiness for granted again.